Not the Huey 2. They're not. Both of those are less than 1,000 feet.
Amsterdam?
But not the Amsterdam. Not the Amsterdam. But how many of you World War II veterans in here? This ship, give you a clue. This ship was caught fire in
the Normandy.
docks in New York. And
Normandy.
The Normandy.
Yeah.
The Normandy. And of course the SS France. These are the 4 ships within the within that era of the 1,000-footers. This ship was built as a transatlantic vessel, so the shape of it is quite different from the ships which are being built today. Not nearly as much draft, slap sides, sort of straight up and down, and a lot of the ship out of the water and very little underwater. So if you get any siege, you get a lot of rocking. We affectionately call the Sovereign of the Sea the roller coaster in every water. So this ship, the other dark cloud was the cost of fuel. And as I said, this ship was purchased by the Arabs for some $18 million. To replace the ship, to build a ship of this size today, would cost well over $1 billion. Well over $1 billion. Now, areas of the ship where Gloucester spent some of that $130 to $150 million. If you turn around and take a look out of the window here, you'll see 2 ships nestled on the deck of this ship. I did not make a mistake. And this is our means of getting you to shore, because we cannot go into port in any of our ports of call. There's just too much of us under the water. Those tenders are Bahamian registered as ships. They are some 88 feet long in length. They are some 72 tons each in weight, and they each carry 450 passengers. And that's our way of getting you from ship to shore, shore to ship. In other words, very shortly now we're going to be tenderizing you ashore. Now that's part of where he spent part of his $150 million. When I talk to you as I go along and let you know other places where he spent part of his $150 million. Now the first console here, is the horn console. If you can't hear me down there, just tell me to speak up. I can blare. Who said I had a big mouth? You say that? No, thank you. This first console is the horn console. Press a button or flip a switch and all those romantic sounds you've ever heard in all of those romantic movies starring Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart are produced right here. Now you've had occasion to hear this sound at least once the first day. The horns. When did you hear the horns? The emergency drill. The emergency drill. What's the emergency signal for the emergency drill? 7-1. Very good. I'm very impressed. 7 short and 1 long. Those sounds are produced right here. This next console is the console which houses the gauges, which gives us information about our draft or about how the ship sits in the water and can be adjusted. This next console is our communication console with telephones to the various departments on the ship, to the radio room, the engine room, etc., and our PA system right here, the public address systems here. That emergency drill, by the way, was Memorex. It was not live. It was on tape. So that. This next console here houses a couple of instruments which I think you'll find interesting. One of which is this instrument which we call an echo sounder right here. There's also an echo sounder on the wall here. The echo sounder gives us information about the amount of water that we're cruising in, or the depth of the water we're cruising in. It gives us information about what's immediately beneath us. It doesn't give us a wide swatch of information. For example, if there was a submarine out there or whales out there, we would know that there was submarine or whales unless the submarine surfaced or unless the whales sounded, or unless those objects were absolutely underneath us, directly beneath us. As a matter of fact, last night, speaking of submarines and whales, last night, very, very late at night, there were two very heavy thuds. How many of you, did you feel that? Did you feel those thuds last night? Very, very late at night. Well, we did hit 2 whales, and we're going to have lovely whale meat for the next few days. No, that was just a little yoke. We didn't hit whales. I don't know what those thuds were, but they weren't whales. Are you a Greenpeace activist? Now, don't you go around saying that Ashley said we hit whales and then we eat the meat. That was just a little yoke. We did not hit whales. By the way, our depth, we are cruising in, Enar gave me the depth for the last bridge tour, and it was some 17,500 feet. Did you say, Enar?
Now it's 16,800.
Now it's 16,800 feet that we're cruising in, the depth that we're cruising in. Also, I don't know that you know this, but every other week, one week we go to St. Martin, and the next week we go to San Juan. And when we go to San Juan, we pass over the second deepest bodies of water in the world. Does anybody happen to know the name of the body of water?
No. Strait of Drake.
The Puerto Rican Trenches, some 29,000 feet in depth. And the deepest body of water in the world is what?
Is the Mariana Trench.
The Marianas Trenches out near the Philippines, some 34,000 feet in depth, approximately. And we always are cruising in a certain section of the Caribbean, which is called the what?
Bermuda Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle. Matter of fact, I've been looking at a couple of them. That's true. This next gauge on this console gives us information about our depth, about our speed, rather. Our speed is gauged. This gauge gives us information about our speed, and our speed is calculated in knots. And we all know that a knot is equivalent to 1.15 miles per hour. And how many knots are we going, sir? How many knots are we going approximately? About 17 knots. Now, you mathematicians, you get out your calculators. If we're doing 17 knots and a knot is equivalent to 1.15 miles per hour, how many miles per hour are we traveling? Almost 20. 19 and a half. 19. So those who said 19 and those who said 20, right in the middle. There. When this ship was the SS France, it had an average speed of about 29 knots and approximately, and a top speed of about 34 knots.
Wow.
As the SS Norway, we have an average speed of some 16, 17, 18 knots, and we have a top speed of about some 24, 25 knots. Why the difference between the SS Norway and the SS France? I'll tell you when we get here. This next console houses the levers, the means by which we operate our thrusters. We have three. We have bow thrusters, 3 thrusters forward, which are the bow thrusters, and 2 thrusters aft, the stern thrusters. 3 thrusters forward. Say that real fast. 3 thrusters forward. The thrusters. This is where Claustra spent part of that $130 to $150 million. The thrusters are tunnels which have been built through the ship, 3 forward, with huge propellers on either end, which gives us the ability to forcefully move water in one direction or forcefully move water in the opposite direction. Therefore, the purpose of the thrusters is to do what?
Turn.
To move the ship away from the dock or to park the car, pull the ship closer to the dock. We also, by the way, you should also know that these thrusters can be used in opposition. I should show you a picture of the thrusters. The thrusters can be used in opposition. These are the stern thrusters. What I mean by being used in opposition, the bow thrusters can be used to forcefully move water in one direction, and the stern thrusters can be used to forcefully move water in the opposite direction, therefore giving us the ability to do what? To turn this ship, or to spin this ship, to turn it on its axis, 360 degrees if you wanted to. In other words, we're going in this direction, we can go all the way around, and come right back in the same direction. And from time to time we do that only because it's fun, and the captain likes to pop a wheelie. But we do have the ability to do that. As a matter of fact, you will have occasion to experience the thrusters being used in opposition. The master of the vessel has to be on the bridge by law whenever we go into port, whenever we leave port. The master, when we leave on first port of call, the master of the vessel will come on the public address system, and he will make an announcement which will go something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to use our thrusters in opposition.